bring my own?
Yep. I brought that for you. I didn't want you to be cold. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Turn it off when you're done.
Yes, ma'am, Jerry.
Amy, come here, Sid. What'd she say that girl's name?
The last name was F.
Okay, at this time, we'll call the Budget Committee meeting to order. Appreciate everyone being here. If you can't find a seat, we can bring some seats in. I know we're working on a $260 million budget, and I know people are concerned about the budget and the spending in the county. I know it's what's caused this room to fill up like it has, but anyway. I would like we have an intern that's been working in my office, Maddie Effler. She's helping out with us today, so and been helping out with keeping Amy moving in the right direction. So that's worked out real well. So anyway, well, good morning and welcome to the first budget workshop for our fiscal years 26-27 for Blount County government. I call this budget committee into order for this budget workshop today and tomorrow. Are both set aside for the presentations by the county departments of their respective budgets. For any departments who may not be presenting in person, you will still have a presentation and budget information in your binders for review. Brian will explain more here in just a few minutes and tell you about a new budget book he and his team have worked very hard to create, and I think some of you have that, and it is pretty amazing. As is in the case every year, there has already been a tremendous amount of work done by the elected officials and department heads, and especially our finance department and team to prepare every department for what I hope is a reasonable, balanced budget to be voted on by our county commission. As a reminder, let me say that this is a question and answer session for our budget committee members only. There will be opportunity for public comment at any of our regular budget committee meetings and at our budget committee public hearing to be held on Thursday, June the 11th at 5 o'clock. Of course, anyone can ask any questions at any time by calling any of us directly at our respective departments. Every year, I hope to have a good attendance by our county commission and county citizens for these workshops. It's a great opportunity to hear about your county departments and from our elected officials and to know exactly what is going on in Blount County government when you're out here talking about it. Just want to say that I'm very, for the last, this is kind of winding down, but and we'll talk more about that for some of us here. This will be our last budget. Been 16 years that we've done this budget. Moving into this budget this year, this is a very conservative budget. But in 16 years, we've not borrowed a penny. Our budget is below our tax rate is lower than the certified rate. It's pretty amazing that we've been able to do what we've done for so many years, but it's been because of the hard work of our elected officials, our departments, our department heads, this county commission who. We've all sort of had the focus to make this as a efficient and effective government that we can for the citizens at the very, very minimum cost. You know, it's one of the things that we've talked about every year during the budget hearings is we do not want to pass a budget that puts a burden on our citizens in any way, form, or fashion. And we've been very fortunate that we've been able to do that, and I'm very proud that we've been able to do that, and I want to thank this commission and the elected officials for that. This time I'll turn it over to Brian for some additional information.
Thank you, Mayor and committee. I want to take a quick minute to thank you all for all the work that this has started already to take out of your schedules and what it'll continue over the next couple of months. you know, there's a lot of work to pull something like this together. So behind the scenes in the mayor's office, Amy Cowden, Aaron Luptak have basically helped set us all up. Justin McClure in IT, Garrett Turner in IT. A lot of what you see today is because of their efforts as well. So I'm just going to jump in and do a high overview of a couple of things. I want to start with revenue. Hang on, my clicker's moving fast on me. I'm going to start out with, just to give, I know most of today is going to be about expenses and appropriation on the expense side, and you'll hear about additional requests, but I wanted to give you just a kind of an idea of what the revenue was looking like. So what you're looking at for this slide and the next slide is essentially a month-by-month trend on our total collections. So if you look at the gas tax revenue, the yellow line at the top, that's a cumulative number for the entire year. So you can see it's a pretty normal trajectory, not a lot of seasonality. It's coming in regularly month over month. And then that number out to the far right, you can see that the gas tax this year, as of February data that we have collected, is actually down 0.3% over where it was this time last year. So if you look at gas tax, and it's been this way for the last several years, it's very flat comparatively year over year. Business tax, you can see there is some seasonality adjustments in there according to when those are collected, but that is up 17.5% year over year. And then mixed drink tax is another one that's a pretty regular, not a lot of seasonality, and it's up about 2.5% so far this year. A couple of our bigger revenue sources, I'm going to start with sales tax. And as you'll recall, sales tax is going to impact your education budget, your highway budget, and your debt service budget. Sales tax is up 6% year over year. It was about 5% until we got the Christmas December spending numbers in, and it has started to tick up. So we're actually 6% year over year. And property tax, obviously, you can see it definitely is cyclical when those property taxes are due. And we are just a little over 0.5% over where we were this time last year. As a reminder, our tax rate is $1.59. Right there you can see at the top the 2026 split of the current pennies. We are working through the process. We are awaiting a final calculation of the certified rate from the State Board of Equalization. Once they send us that final rate, we will include that as part of this proposal recommendation and bring it to commission for approval of the certified rate. And then just to note, the value of the penny has gone from $671,500 to $852,500. So we anticipate having fewer pennies due to the new certified rate, but a higher value of the penny to keep the property tax collections flat year over year. I want to, Mayor, you mentioned all the work in the last 16 years, not taking on any new debt, fiscal responsibility. This slide reflects that just about it. I've got two slides that really reflect that, and this is one of them. You can see the General County Fund 101 fund balance, and these are unrestricted fund balances. You can see that increasing. That is due to a few things. One, it's just conservative fiscal management. Two, it is, we budget for all positions. So if you have vacancy throughout the year, you have savings in your budget. And then you also have some of those growth factors in your revenue that are difficult to anticipate. So if there's a lot of new growth and property tax increases because of new growth, that will help your fund balance. So that's how the fund balance has grown in General County. Just a reminder, Fund 115 is the library fund. And that includes contributions from Blount County, Maryville, and Alcoa, and their fund balance is about $1.5 million. Fund 131, that was an intended decrease due to you all and then the County Commission approving roughly $2 million more in additional asphalt and paving. Fund 141 saw a jump to end last year, really due to cost containment and correctly using our capital funds for capital items. And then Fund 151, that's our debt service fund. And you can see there is a significant amount of variability there. That fund will bounce around because we have done interfund loans out of that fund for Eagleton College and Career Academy. So as those loan payments come back in, that fund will increase and catch back up. Just a quick note on our capital fund balances, and I'm not going to belabor this too much, but Fund 176, highway capital, about $6.5 million. Your education capital decreased due, most of that was spent on the William Blount High School CTE building. So you're sitting on just about $4 million of education capital funds, and then general county capital, there's about $3 million there. Mayor, you also mentioned debt, and it was a very big number. I know 16 years ago, up over $250 million. But as of this year, when we make our final payment, we'll be down under $100 million. And in fact, this budget that you're setting this year will actually make the payments to get the debt down to $87,475,000. So that's how far the work that you all have put in has driven this number downward. The other good news is that we have now been rated a AAA rating with Fitch. So we have they took a look at, which is a little bit rare that they would take a look at you when you're not issuing debt, but we've not issued debt for so long and our financial position has changed so significantly they were compelled to review us and actually upgraded us to a AAA rating. It's really mostly about the financial health of the county as we stand today. I would say, just getting us ready for today, there are a few things baked into the budget proposal that you have in front of you that we'll work through. And one is that it includes, for salary increases, a step, as well as a cost of living adjustment. Those are both built in. The benefits, the health insurance and dental insurance, again, stayed flat. They did not change. The employee or the employer contributions did not have to adjust. And then for operational expenses, there were slight increases here or there, but a lot of times they were a couple of percent. A lot of them were mostly flat. So not a lot of new operational expenses outside of what you'll hear about in additional requests today. And then finally, the materials you have for today, you have you got a copy of the schedule. You have the book with all of these slides in them as in prior years. I will note that we have a new additional request form. I've heard from a lot of you and some commissioners about when you need something, when you're asking for something, what's the business case? So we redid our form to try to take into account what's the cost, what's the benefit, and then what's the kind of the net impact. So hopefully those forms will help explain some of the requests a little bit better. And then you'll have, as always, the detailed budget report in your binder. And then finally, as Mayor Mitchell mentioned, we have a new budget book this year, and I want to thank Tyler for taking this on and putting this together. He's done a ton of work on this budget process, and I appreciate all the work he's done. But this budget book, essentially, this is version 1. We're calling it the proposed budget. While you all work for the next month and a half through the budget process, we will then, and I would note that it's missing key pieces of information because there are decisions that you all have to make collectively to put a budget together. And once those decisions are made, we will fill out the rest of this budget book, and it will become a recommended budget book and move with the as an attachment with the resolutions that you all will recommend moving forward. So we will complete this budget book as you all work through the process. So with that, Mayor, thank you for giving me that time, and I think we're ready to get started.
Okay. First up to the mic is our very own Scott Graves, trustee. I know Scott lives for this moment every day of the year, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you like the beard, sorry, but committee member Hannum said to go home and shave it today, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm Scott Graves. I'm the county trustee, and my job is to basically take care of the money. So I have just a little bit about me. I have an MBA and over 30 years of experience in finance, accounting, and management. And my office manages and collects and accounts for all the money used to operate Blount County government, and that's state, federal, and local funds. And we also manage the investment of temporarily idle funds, and I supervise the cash flow through fund accounting and bank accounts. I didn't realize I was in charge of that. Yeah. So the next slide talks about our primary revenue sources. Not to steal any of Brian's thunder, but basically our primary revenue sources here in the county that my office collects is property tax, local option sales tax, business tax, state revenue, and that's primarily K through 12 education funds and some grants. Federal revenue includes special and vocational education funds and some grants. And we also have local fines and fees that come from our fee offices, like courts, probation, planning, etc. And the workload, I wanted to point out, has increased in my office over the years. And I use the year 2000 because that's when I started in that office. So the number of property tax parcels, or customers, if you will, that we had in 2000 were a little over 59,000. And in 2025 tax year, we had about 76,500. We have a tax freeze that began in the year 2007. So we've added that to the list of things that we help folks with, and we've got about 2,000 folks that come in and inquire or sign up for the tax freeze. We have tax relief, and that's a state program, and in 2000 we had about 700 of those folks, and today we have around 2,500. So that's kind of how our workload in the trustee's office has increased. And one thing that I like to point out to the budget committee and anyone else that wants to hear is we have managed that workload increase within the number of folks that we have employed. So we are a fee office, so we're designed to operate within our fees. So our fees in 2000 for the trustee's office were a little over $1 million, and today they're a little over $3.6 million that we bring in to help county government operate. And even though the workload's increased, my office staff, through technology, process improvements, training, and employee retention, we have some employees that have been here for a while. We were able to still operate the office with 6 full-time folks in 2000 and today. So that's what we're asking for in the budget, is the same number of full-time employees that we have had for 26 years. And we had part-time employees in the year 2000, about 1,800 hours worth, which is a little less than a full-time employee, but that it would cost us today around $40,000, and we're able to do that with just a few hours of part-time folks, probably less than 70, and that will cost us around $2,000. So we're basically operating on less than what we had in the year 2000. So I do like to tell folks that when you say conservative, I feel like that's pretty conservative to be able to do that. And as far as our budget goes, the only difference really is a little bit in our operational budget. Postage, of course, has increased significantly over the last 3 or 4 years, and we also have an increase in the software maintenance costs that we use, and that's the only differences in the operational budget. And then, of course, our employees and whatever the salary schedule says to pay them. So that's my budget and my request, and I appreciate your consideration. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Graves? Just push the button and talk.
All right. Thank you.
Can you say a little bit more to me, please explain to me a little bit further the difference between the tax freeze and the tax relief other than the source, where it comes from? For instance, a tax freeze applies to whom? What's the criteria for that? And I see your numbers here. I can figure out the rest from there.
Okay. It's on our website if you want to look further, but just in a nutshell, I guess the tax relief program's a state program where you can get a little rebate on your taxes from the state. You have to make less than a certain income limit and be 65 or older. That same program's available for 100% totally and permanently disabled veterans as well. And then the freeze program is where you can freeze the county commission passed that in 2007, and you can freeze your taxes, and you have to be 65 or older, and there's an income limit that you have to meet there as well. And it's a little higher than the income limit for the relief program. Is that okay?
Is there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything y'all do, that you do too. Next up, County Clerk. Okay. You started it, you know.
I know, that's what I get, isn't it? Thank you all. Good to see everyone this morning. Want to especially thank Brian and Tyler for the patience that they always showed each one of us, especially me, every year during the budget season. And this past year, they've spent a little bit of extra time with me so that we can introduce some of the bookkeeping procedures and budget procedures to Brad while he's been training as my chief of staff, and hopefully for other responsibilities in the near future. You know, looking back this morning, I got a little, I won't say teary-eyed on my way into work this morning thinking about today, but I remember I was scared to death the first time that I presented to this group. And you all are not a scary bunch. I made it, you know, that way in my own mind, but I feel like, well, I've come a little bit further since that day 10 years ago, and I appreciate you all for everything that you have done and all the help that you've been to me. And I know this is a big responsibility, and you all spend lots of hours serving in this capacity for our county, and I do appreciate it, and I hope the citizens of Blount County appreciate you all because you do spend a lot of time with this. It's a thankless job. I'll go ahead and get going. What we do: vehicle registrations and titling, boat and watercraft license agent, issuing business license, processing applications for marriage license and passports, collect occupancy tax, process applications for beer permits, and serve as the official record keeper and clerk for the county commission. This past year, we processed over 225,000 vehicle transactions. Our collected fees for the last year was $23.7 million. I think the first, and I should have looked back to the first year, but I think when I started, we were processing around 120,000 vehicle transactions a year. Blount County has really grown, and then we have also taken on the responsibility of vehicle registrations for a lot of the leasing agents, Budget, Enterprise, those type of companies. One thing that we have been blessed with is longevity of employees is more apparent even in our hallway. And you don't think about this, but our transaction processing times are a little bit quicker than what they used to be because the people that we have employed with us now know what they're doing. They feel confident in the transactions that they're processing, and that speeds up our processing time so people are having to wait less. You know, if we've got a new employee, it takes them a while to do that transaction. So our processing times are a little bit quicker, and so that in turn means that our wait times are shorter. This past year, Brad conducted customer service training and offered it to other departments within the courthouse and then also at the public library on escalation awareness and de-escalation strategies, which is really important in today's times. It seems like people their tempers are always running a little bit higher than what they have been lately. And this past year, we just felt like it was something really important that our employees needed to know how to deal with people who might get a little bit more belligerent. We also coordinated a field trip to the E911 Center, and this is something that I had been wanting to do because to me it is just such an amazing facility. And to see what those people do on a daily basis, and just wanted to see the commitment that they have and our employees to be able to see that wonderful facility down there and to get a grasp of what's going on in our county. And they thought, because our people don't get to leave the front counter for very long periods of time. They're pretty much tied to our office and don't have the ability to go out for opportunities like this. But we were able to coordinate that, and then the trustee's office, property assessor, register of deeds set up schedules to allow their employees to go also. So it was, just a little bit out of the norm for us, but a very, great opportunity for them. The 26-27 years is going to be filled with transitions. I'll be transitioning to retirement life and will no longer have that day-to-day process and interaction with the clerk staff and the citizens of Blount County. That's going to be an adjustment for me because my car is on automatic pilot to this building in the mornings, and it has been like that for 42 years now. The staff in the county clerk's office will be transitioning to a new leader. That sounds easy in theory, but that is not an easy task for our employees to have to go, to transition. It is a bigger deal than what people realize. But I know without a doubt that my staff will continue to serve the citizens of Blount County in a professional and efficient manner and to the high standards that have become our new norm. Change is never easy, and I know that while change is painful, it's necessary for growth. I'm excited to see the improvements and the growth that takes place in the clerk's office in the future. I know that our employees love the county and love serving the citizens, and they are going to do, whether it's Brad or whomever, they have a desire to serve. They love their jobs, and you all have had a big part in that also, because the annual step raises that we are able to give our employees now makes them want to stay. We have lost so many good people from Blount County going to other agencies, going to other government offices. We are now keeping our people. And that's really important, because we spend a lot of time training and just it hurts to lose people. And you all have had a big part in that with finding the money and keeping these people. So I do appreciate you for that reason too, because they do want to stay right here with Blount County government, and the benefits that we offer. They can't find the benefits and pay out in the private sector like what we are allowed to do now. I've had a little bit of a budget request, just having to tweak some things. Request an increase of $3,000 in travel. Past couple of years I've had to transfer funds at the end of the year to cover some of the costs that we've had. But this will allow other staff to attend training conferences. This is something that we've just not done a whole lot of, but really needs to take place. Also requested an increase of $600 in tuition, because funding needs to be set aside for whomever my replacement is to be able to get enrolled in the county officials certificate training program and to attend the capstone event. So those are just, that's just a training opportunity that I feel like is really important for whomever to take and be involved in and to learn the ins and outs of all county government. We have also been on a schedule with IT for the past few years to upgrade our equipment, our computers and printers and things on a cycle so that they're constant, you know, we don't replace all of them at one time. We're on a schedule. You know, we replace 4 this year, 4 next year, 4 the next year, so that we don't have all these machine malfunctions. But our large capacity printers that our clerks use at the windows have been one of those pieces of equipment that's kind of costly, and we have not put those on a regular replacement schedule because they were still working. But those printers are now reaching an age of almost 10 years old. 2016 and 2017 was when we purchased those printers, and through conversation with IT, they requested that I check into leasing the printers, which is going to be a more cost-efficient approach to take. And I'm not sure what you all are able to look at, but our toner cost annually is almost $3,500. Toners would be included in the lease agreement, which is for 60 months. Are you all able to see the request that?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
Okay. So as you can see, it will, over the 5-year period of time, we will save quite a bit of money by going to a lease program. But that's all that we have really, that's the only change that we have made a request for. That's it. Have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or any discussion for Gay?
Gay, excuse me, I don't have a question, but I would not let you leave this last one of the budget committee meetings that you'll be facilitating without saying that I disagree with one thing that you said, and that was whoever replaces you. There may be someone to succeed you, but there'll never be anyone who can replace you. You have done a marvelous job.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate all that you've done to help me, both personally and as a budget committee member, and I wish you well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else?
And I'll remind the mayor, 5 months and 5 days.
I was going to ask. I was getting ready to ask you what we've got a countdown going. Where are we at now?
One of my new responsibilities is to drop in with him about every other week and say, "Hey, Mayor, I've got a little countdown."
What are we at right now, Gay? Where are we at right now? 5 months?
5 months and 5 days.
All right.
We're at the magic 5.
Well,
So
and I'm like you. I want to say I appreciate the job that you've done over at the county clerks. That you've done an absolutely amazing job. Your people, there's probably, other than me and Scott and probably Phyllis and Todd, we get to see the crowd that shows up in front of your window, and I mean it looks like the going into a UT football game sometimes.
It does.
The crowd
Feels like
that's
that,
standing
too.
there at your window, and your people doing a fabulous job, an amazing job. You do, and I just want to say that I think this county, whoever, and I'm not saying that someone can at some time raise themselves to the level that you've done in that office, but right now I'm just going to tell you, you've been absolutely amazing and great to work with, and for the next 5 months and 5 days, I look forward to working with you. And then I'm like you, I'll have to turn the car around in the mornings because I've been used to coming here, but thank you, Gay, for everything
you.
you and your department do. Your people are absolutely amazing. I stand there at the elevator a lot of times and watch the grief and the heartache that those people take and the way people talk to them. And it's just amazing that they can do the job they do and be as efficient as they are and do what the people of this county expect them to do with a smile on their face, and they do it day in and day out. And I really appreciate all of that and what you've done there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Property Assessor Todd Orr.
Morning. So tell you a little bit about myself. I've been the assessor since 2021. I got appointed. Been in the business since college, really. So this is really all I've ever known. What we do in the assessor's office, we're responsible for keeping accurate information of everything, all the property in Blount County, both real and personal. Currently, that's about 79,000 parcels. 8,000 is personal property. That's all the businesses. My staff consists of 16 people, 8 of which are the field representatives. So we split the county up between those 8 people. So they have roughly about 9,000, a little over 9,000 parcels, each one that they're responsible for. Like I said, our job is we map the location of each parcel. We give it a unique identifier. We appraise it, and then we classify it as residential or commercial. Tennessee is a fractional state, so the appraisal of your property, what you pay taxes on, is a percentage. Residential is 25%, commercial is 40%, and I mentioned personal property, that's at 30% of the appraised value. Accomplishments this past year. And I was here this time last year, and one of the goals was a successful reappraisal because we were in reappraisal, and we've done that. We've had a successful reappraisal that ended as of January 1, 2026, with fair and equitable appraisals. We'll be sending notices out to all property owners early May. We're actually finalizing that tomorrow with the state, and to send those notices out, will be early May. Our office also got a 3-star certification award through the Tennessee Association of Assessing Officers. My staff has completed several continuing education hours. What we do is mass appraisal. The way we appraise property is a little different than if you go to the bank and get a loan and they do an appraisal. We do things in mass, and it's a little different. It's more technical, and so I'm a big proponent of continuing education and going to conferences and learning from others. And that's what we've done this past year. Goals for next year, I mentioned continuing education for the staff, and we're going to work on appeals. As I said, we just finished a reappraisal, and the appeals I'm talking about are more for the big box stores, Walmart's, Kroger's, Target's. They call our office every year, and they appeal their property every year, even when their taxes go down. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. And we're always looking for avenues where we can enhance our office to be more efficient for the constituents. I think we need to be utilizing our resources, and you know, as my staff kind of grimaces every time I say it, you know, why are we doing that? And if the answer is the way we've always done it, that's not a good answer. So we're trying to look for avenues to be more efficient within our office. That's kind of all I have for the budget. Y'all have any questions for me?
Anyone have any questions for Todd? I just want to, I'm just looking at it here at your budget, and correct me, am I looking at this, you're actually in your budget this year reducing your budget?
Probably a little bit.
Is that the way I'm seeing this, Brian? He's actually reducing his budget?
Yes, sir. And most of that is in that health insurance line. So one of the processes is every January people can elect for different benefits, or they have a family change and they go from a family plan to a single plan. So the savings you're seeing is really in that health insurance line. So you've had some employees elect different coverages.
Okay, not necessarily operational budget. We're not really.
Anytime we can save, we like that. It doesn't matter. You can put it in whatever category you want, because
Right.
when we save money, the citizens save money.
Absolutely.
And I just I wanted to point that out, that this year's budget is actually less than last year's budget, and I appreciate that. Anything else? Todd, thank you very much. This has been the last time you were standing at that podium, it was not nearly this nice, was it?
It was not, and I brought water this time because I got a little, I got cotton mouth last time because I was up there for about an hour. But
Yeah, that's right.
this was a lot better.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you for the job y'all do. Appreciate it. Next up, Register of Deeds. Ms. Phyllis Crisp.
Good morning, and I just want to thank everybody for all you do, and like Gay said, you know, this is kind of an emotional budget. We're losing a good man right there. Mike Taylor, thank you for all you've done for Blount County, and you're going to be missed. Ed, same thing, you know, you've brought Blount County to a whole new level.
Thank you, Phyllis.
You know, friendships. It's, you know, our job is a whole lot about friendships and how we do our job, how our offices work together is just, you know, phenomenal. Brian, you've probably been one of the best to work with. It's just been phenomenal. You help all of us office holders so much. Tyler, I know you're coming in new on this, but thank you for all you do. And but I guess I need to get to business. And that lady right there, she's phenomenal too. Anytime she has to speak to a group or whatever, I'm just like a wow moment. Nick, I know you're a silent one, you know, but thank you for what you do. Jared, I know you wear many hats, and thank you for all you do. But the ones of you that are leaving, just know you're going to be missed, okay? And kind of like Gay said, in 2010, when I had to come and speak, I was rattling in my boots. So, my budget hasn't changed just a whole lot, other than what for the increases that come along normal with the increases in pay, and I thank God that we are able to bring our employees up to a new level that they want to stay with us. And I always tell them about what great insurance we have, all the good benefits that we have. Might not be the pay that they get out there someplace else, but the pay, the benefits, everything. So with all of you guys, what you do, it's helping us to retain our good employees. What we do, how we serve Blount County. The Register of Deeds office is the official recorder and custodian of important documents, especially those related to property and legal transactions. We record and preserve legal instruments that affect property ownership and other rights such as deeds, trust deeds, liens, releases, court orders, plats, restrictions, power of attorneys, and military discharges. These records are indexed and stored to provide public notice of ownership and transactions that affect public interest. The public title agencies and attorneys can access these documents on public computers in our vault. Online access can be viewed through a third party. Accomplishments. Our office warned homeowners of suspicious mail scams offering to get them copies of their deeds for $89 to $129. We charge 50 cents a page for regular copies and $1 a page for a certified copy. A deed is usually 2 to 3 pages. Our goal is to protect our homeowners from being misled. We offer a free service through our vendor called mylandalert.com. It notifies the property owners by email when a document is recorded in their name in our office. It helps citizens monitor activity on their property and quickly detect possible fraudulent filings. And we had 0 audit finding. I just want to say on those mail outs, it doesn't matter how many times, you know, whether if it's news media, Facebook, whatever, we have these little old people that are coming up and they've already got their check written out for $129 for those people that are trying to scam theirs. I'm doing all I can do to try to protect the citizens of Blount County, and it is a shame. And the My Land Alert, if you're not signed up for it, I recommend that you do. Because unfortunately, there is fraud out there, people trying to take other people's property. We've not had to deal with it, but we have had where property has went up for sale, lakefront property, and the person didn't give the realtor that permission, and so somebody happened to see it on the internet and called in about it, and of course it got took down real quickly. But they drive by and they see vacant property that people's probably not been at in years, and try to go that route. Our 2627 goals: providing friendly, respectful, and professional assistance to the public, whether in person or asking questions by phone or email. Doing all we can do to help the citizens of Blount County understand how to protect themselves from scams and fraud. Our goal is to try and educate as many homeowners as we can with the My Land Alert. Another goal is to ensure all real estate and related legal documents are properly recorded and indexed so that they become a part of the official public records. Accurate recording protects property rights and clarifies ownership. Maintaining records in a durable, organized format so that citizens, attorneys, and title professionals can easily access documents as they need. Thank you. I just wanted to say there was just a couple of increases, small increases in my budget, and one was dues and memberships, and that's something I have no control over going up. And a slight increase in travel, and that was because of where our meetings are going to be held this coming year, you know, having to travel a little farther, and motel rates being a little bit up.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Phyllis? Seeing none, I do want to, and I'm going to point this out. If I know, also notice that even with the increases you're talking about, Phyllis, your request this year is less than it was last year.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate that. And I think
Thank you.
people of this county should be very thankful that that's the kind of leadership we have in our elected officials. Thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Next up, Circuit Court Clerk.
Well, please hold your applause. Good morning, everybody. Mayor, you kind of made me a little nervous, so I started looking. I don't think you're going to be talking about a budget being reduced again when I get done. Maybe.
I noticed that.
Did you do that on purpose? No, first of all, thank you all for this opportunity. I got the opportunity when I worked for the sheriff's office to be able to come in and do this back starting about 2014, and it is 15, I'm sorry. And it is a little nerve-wracking standing up here talking to you all, trying to explain and justify what we need, but I think it's a great process. I don't know who started it or when it started. If it was yours, Mayor, it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing. And it gives everybody a little bit of, ownership of what they're doing instead of just shooting an email across from the Justice Center to the courthouse saying, here's what we want, here's what we need. So thank you all for this opportunity. And Mayor, you are going to be missed. I know one of the highlights of your tenure is Eagleton Ballpark, and I've got to drive by that the past 2 weekends and just see how packed out that place is. It's a wonderful facility, and I thank you for driving the bus to get that facility restored. And it's I was telling Brian at our meeting the other day, it's amazing how everything's just not backed up on Old Knoxville or on East Broadway. There's ways into the ballpark that funnel people in. It's not creating traffic congestion. I've not seen any remains of a fender bender as I've been coming through, and Richie Cream will probably be adding on, because I know a lot of people are making that trek across the road. Might not be a bad place for a crosswalk if you get one, those flashing lights. But that's wonderful, so thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Let me get rolling. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on, getting into, you all know what our office does. We've been up here several times through this process. We're the court, we're the keeper of the records, and we're the collectors of the fines. And we try to be fairly as aggressive as our clients will let us in the collection of fines, but as you know, we don't always have a lot of willing participants and willing payers. One of the things we have done to try to save some money in this past year was the kiosk that Gay and I shared at the drive-through. She had a lot of activity at that drive-through. She has a lot different client base than I have, and we couldn't find record in the last 2 years of there being a transaction for the circuit court clerk's office there. So we chose to get out of that lease agreement on that kiosk, and so it's all for the clerk's office now. I'm sure you've all looked through this. You see the filings, you see how busy our office is. At the time we prepared this, we'd collected $3.2 million, and on pace to collect right at $5 million for this year, including indigent billing and city and state revenues. One of the accomplishments we had this year that when the legislature shoved down our throat that we had to convert all of our juvenile records across the state for juvenile courts to Quest, we had to just take that and like it or not like it. And that was a very, very big undertaking. And Betty McKenzie, who's here with me this morning, she helped spearhead that movement in getting our juvenile clerk's office off of Tensis through local government and get them on Quest. One of the biggest hurdles we've had with that has been the accounting part of it. But Betty, working with our accounting department, has done a fantastic job of making sure that it was as smooth a transition as we could accomplish, moving over to something that was completely new to us. And to be honest, and I don't care if they're watching, it's not as good a system as what we had, but the state chose that's what we need to do, and we're in the process now of a statewide clerk's office system being implemented. We don't know what the timeline is. We're having meetings and giving some opinions on what we'd like to see. It could be next year. It could be a couple years down the road. We kind of don't know. It's in the early stages of it. We did a lot of education and training and cross-training in our office this year. As Gay has talked and Todd and Phyllis and Scott, longevity is key in the operation of their office, and it's key in the operation of our office as well. I've got, I know a good handful of people who could just, they're probably one bad hour away from saying, I'm done, I'm going to go home and retire. And part of my responsibility is let's identify who your replacement is. And we've been doing a lot of that with education and the cross-training, want people to know the multiple functions of our office so that we're developing our next round of leaders so that we're not standing there with our pants down one day not knowing what to do when somebody decides, I'm going to retire. So additional budget requests for this year. So one thing I didn't understand until I came into this office was the different responsibilities and job classifications of a deputy clerk 1, 2, and 3. And I'm glad that that is in our classification plan so that clerks are able to progress, and as they work harder and obtain more skills, knowledge, and abilities, that they're able to be moved up in classification. So I have 3 deputy clerks, one that in the next year I project that they will be playing the role of a deputy clerk 2, and would like to move them up to that. And then a deputy clerk 2 who will be moving up to a 3, and an accounting clerk who really did an amazing job in this transition over to Quest last year. The knowledge that she has picked up, she is very deserving to be moved up to an accounting clerk 3. I've talked to Brian and Travis. We have a window for cost collections that is right in front of a door that comes out of the back hallway. And that hallway is used, it's right inside the front entrance of the Justice Center on the left. It's for our cost collections. That window gets used a lot, especially during cold and bad weather. And that hallway gets used a lot. We're worried about somebody being hit by the door, but I am more worried about when one of our employees comes through there that there is an open door where somebody has direct access to our employees and large amounts of cash. So we are looking, and I've talked to Brian and Travis about moving that window on the other side of the wall. That would give the sheriff's deputies at the security check-in, give them a clear view of who's at that window. Now it's kind of hidden, and I don't think it's in a good spot. And we're asking to get that, to have that moved. Obviously postage increasing, we're requesting an increase there. And our part-time budget, I don't like that word after was. I don't like to use the word cut, because I've seen when I held a previous elected position how when you sent your budget request in, they would always say that that board or director may say, well, they cut us and it wasn't even an approved budget yet, it was just a request. So the part-time court personnel who assist with it's a lot with the operation of the court and keeping things flowing and running smooth. It's our courtroom assistants taking people down who are requesting to fill out paperwork for a court-appointed attorney, who are paying costs and fines right after court, who are wanting to pick up an expungement packet. They're running them up and down the stairs, and we have to have someone in there with every criminal docket we have. I have one-time person full-time who works in the office and also as a courtroom assistant. Well, she can't be at every court that we have, and we have criminal court going Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. We've got a lot of criminal court going on. Right now, the parking lot at the Justice Center is full. I generally help out on Thursdays with the Order Protection domestic docket, running people up and down, but I'm here, so we've got people to help out, but I really need one more part-time person. And the reason I feel like the cost was reduced is we didn't use as much the previous year because we had someone who had left and took a job at the federal courthouse. Generally, it's a position that retired law enforcement does. I have a retired captain from the airport authority who's one of the part-time folks now. And it's really it's a tough position to fill. You got to find the right person. One guy who had just retired out of working in the private sector, he asked to do it. I told him the hardest thing about it is wearing a tie every day. He left after 2 or 3 months. He said, I just can't wear that tie. And I understand it's a tough position, and it's hard to find somebody who wants to do it. So, but I really do need one more to assist with the judges. On the circuit court judge side, increase in the postage line, $2,000 for jury summonses. We send out at least 350 jury summonses every 2 weeks. And with that, we send a return envelope as well. So our postage costs are high. We received notice that the grand jury notifications are going up in the local paper. I need to circle back on that by the time we got this over. I think we had talked with the Daily Times and maybe they were going to hold us steady. I need to double check on that one. And then flooring in the courtrooms at the judge's request. I don't know how many of them have been replaced in the 27 years that we've been at the Justice Center. That's it.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Chris? Go ahead.
You've been a good student.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Even with your additional requests, with the exception of which is where my question comes in, there's no dollar amount yet by your request to move the cost window to another wall. Do you have in your mind a ballpark figure yet as to what that may be?
I don't. We've asked Travis, and I know he and Brian are very busy. I want to compliment. What a great hire, man. He's good, and Brian is really good. So they've not been able to get over and see exactly what we're wanting to do yet. I know he's new, getting his feet under him. So whenever they're ready and able to get over and tell us and me show them exactly what it is I want, then I'll have a better number. But I don't feel like I need to be calling a contractor and saying, hey, come in here and give me a cost on doing this, or grabbing Hunter for maintenance and saying, hey, if you're able to do this, how much is it going to cost? I want to stay in my lane. That's why I've not pressured them to get over there any. They know what I need. So, but no, I've not done anything on my own to find that out.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? All right. Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. And
Yes, sir. Thank you, and thank you.
And even though
Jay.
I looked at what you were talking about on some of your increases here, you're still you're very minimal on anything, on any increases in your budget. So
Yes, sir.
thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Next up, Highway Department, Superintendent Hedrick.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. My control there. I'm Jeff Hedrick, Highway Superintendent. These folks helped make it happen. Jenny Montgomery, Don Walker, Karen Ray, Thomas Lloyd. Great people for the county. What we do, how we serve the county. Believe it or not, we're up to 1,400 miles county roadway. Resurface, repair, all we can. That's where the bulk of the money goes and needs to go. Replace drainage tiles, repair slope failures, slides. The tiles obviously are all across the county, cross drains. If they're remotely close to needing replaced, we do it before we spend all that money with liquid gold. Slope failure slides, that's predominantly Townsend, O'Wallen, and obviously we've had them. They're not very cheap, but we're proud of, we've managed it and not come back and ask for money. Replace bridges, we're really clicking those off. We're probably 2 weeks out of opening Wildwood back up and repaving that whole area. So that's going to be a big highlight for that community. Maintain right-of-ways for sight distance, mowing, proactive tree removal. Mowing starts in a couple weeks, so it's growing already. You know, the proactive tree removal, we finally got to that point. We've identified trees that, you know, it's not if, it's when in a storm, typically in the middle of the night, they're coming down. And so we finally got to the point that we're taking them down ahead of time and bringing them in and using the air current to dispose of them. Collect recyclables from the public, glass, hazardous waste, single stream. It's, well, you can screw up a lot of things. You can screw up highway or development. Don't mess up recycle. They're very compassionate about recycling. 25, 26 accomplishments. Again, the 1,400 miles of road. This past year, 10 years ago, when we got here, they were averaging 7 or 8 miles a season. And this past season, we did 120. And the goal is probably to do 150. Tall order, but we got great folks. Guardrail installation, accident-prone areas, been very proactive there. Where we know it's going to happen, let's get the guardrail up. Not only that, we've been real aggressive of when somebody hits it. Tim Tipton's one of the best I've ever seen. And so we go to recoup that money instead of just putting it up on the taxpayer's dime, because 9 out of 10 it's somebody doing something silly. So that's been a big benefit. Drone units pre and post construction has been huge. Any projects that we do, we're flying them pre and post. And it's, in certain situations, as far as possible change orders, it's stopped that, because it's real obvious when you come in the office and you sit down and it's on that big screen. And, you know, if something was damaged, it was obvious who damaged it. Weather and fence assessments, trees, flooding, snow, inspecting our bridges for safety, and assisted other departments. We've actually been on some SWAT raids with our biggest drone that will lock in on a body or a suspect, and they won't get away. Another program we're putting in place that we don't have it up there yet because it's so new, is our underwater drone program. And so with this underwater drone, the piers and the footings of the bridges we're responsible for, instead of hiring an outside firm and paying $6,000, $7,000 for an assessment, we're looking at it ourselves. So what you see with our drones aerial, we're doing it underwater. It's really amazing. Anybody wants to see it. Big deal, recycling. I mean, it's hard to believe, but those numbers are accurate and staggering. 2.9 million pounds of vegetation out of the right-of-way. And imagine if that kind of pounds are going to the landfill, or it's going somewhere locally to be ground up in a tub grinder, a little black dust sprinkled in it, and resold. And if anybody's curious, we can sit down at a later date and we can take that 2.9 and tell you about what it would cost to save the county. It's probably past millions, might be billions in 10 years. Of course, that air curtain is approved by TDEC. We have an OPAC test annually and have passed that with flying colors. 1.4 million pounds of single stream, 511 pounds of glass, 4,000 gallons of oil antifreeze, 211 drums of hazardous waste that you find over the years got dumped, the drum and all, in lakes, creeks, side of the road. So, and you asked, you know, how accurate is that? It's to the pound, because you all allowed us to get the scales that are top of the line, and we have tickets for every truck that comes and goes. 26, 27 goals. Continue making the road safe as possible. Continue to catch up by paving 100+ miles instead of 7 or 8. You never catch up in that cycle. Maintain the right-of-ways to a high standard, mowing regularly, proactive tree removal. And when you think about that mowing, 1,400 miles, both sides of the road, 4 times a year. Not hard to do that math of, you know, what these guys do and go through. We're as aggressive as anybody can be, and anybody says they don't understand, why doesn't Blount County go after grants? I don't know where that statement comes from. Mr. Walker is one of the best I've ever seen at finding grants to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. He's just expert at it. Maintain recycling program, exceed citizens' expectations. We're busting at the seams, literally, averaging over probably 600 a day. And that'll, the spin-off of that, some things we'll talk about is if you rely on another company to pick up containers and so on, what we're fighting, by the time we get to the end of the week, and we go into the weekend when people are off, those dumpsters are full. We've been setting out garbage cans, trying to not just hang up there, this one's closed. It's not cool. Citizens don't like it. But you can't get them to come just at a minute's notice. Hey, looks like we're going to be full. They're not coming. Now, if they charge you 3 times, they might, which we'll get into that in a little bit. They're charging too much already, and it continues to increase. All right, so here we are in the budget request, and $1 million for additional paving, hot mix. And so we, Finance Director Ball and I have discussed maybe some other alternatives, and we can get into that. But adding that to that, it's a lot of counties across the state. It would be frivolous to add $1 million, right? But the bulk of the counties across the state don't have the people we have. They don't have the crews, and you guys have heard it in Asheville and in different places. We're very, very blessed, and that's a dying breed, but we're blessed to have them. So I'm very high on this one. That's where the bulk of the money needs to go. Cab and chassis transport roll-off recycle bins. So that's what I alluded to earlier. That roll-off truck is a cab and a chassis. And those big bins, when you come to recycle it, you put stuff in, get dragged up on that, taken and dumped, brought back, and then they roll back off. So I think it's in your paperwork about costs of deliveries, pickups. So right now, probably at around $360.51. And those hauls are 5 times a week, okay? Therein lies where we're getting behind with, it's full by the end of the week. And you have a lot of upset people, and rightfully so. So to get where we think we need 7 hauls a week. And it appears that fee is going to go from 360 to 448.52. So when you look at that annually, you're almost at $68,000. And you see the expense of the truck. So there's the business model in lies 3 years for round number. And if you take care of this stuff, Mr. Anderson and the people in our shop that stress maintenance, oil changes, tire, it don't matter what it is, cleaning, you're going to have that vehicle. But you can also see there's not a body, not a head count, not an increase of pay. Reason being, we have our own CDL program, right? We train them, license them, our own course, right there on site, which is amazing that we've got. Very few you'll see in the state. So we're going to multitask, as we do a lot of our people. You're not doing too much today, CDL driver. Take it over to Waste Connection. Empty, come back. We're in a bind. It don't matter, it's Friday and it's full. We're going to take it and dump it. And when the citizens roll in on Saturday, it's their day off and they're cleaning the garage out, they don't see a sign that says full. Not a good practice. The 550. And I hope, and I think a lot of you have noticed, snow removal and calcium pretreatment. And I think it affects you personally where you live in your county roads. But I hope and think you've seen it at the facilities. But you can't get into these tight areas or small back roads with a single axle or a triaxle. You can, it's not safe, but you can't get it off. So we've been trying to pre-treat and salt courthouse, Justice Center. We've even started doing the school parking lots. Fifth Judicial, the new satellite office. But you can do it better with a 550 and an insert. The one we have, we ran him to death a few months ago in the rural back roads. But those people pay taxes too. It's a county road. They deserve it cleaned. And we're to that point that we could do that 10 years ago. We couldn't do that. We didn't have the equipment. We didn't have the people. And we're getting there. We're starting to see the fruits of the labor. I might add one thing here with talking about that. And you all have been great. The commission's been great of understanding our mission and our goal, because we were at the bottom, quite frankly. We had no money. We had no equipment. Didn't have good key personnel. So we're getting there. I think you're seeing the services that we do which are a lot. Hopefully you've seen it increase. I think you've seen equipment that 10 years ago you would have been ashamed of, to say, oh, there goes the highway department. You know, something was nasty and broke down. And so I think we're turning that corner. The service is better, but I think one of the key highlights, look back where we were, $15, $16 million budget, right? So when you start getting those things in place and you try to do what's right and you take care of that equipment, what should happen? If you're responsible, that budget goes down, right? So it's right there, 15 million, 11 million and some change this time. So I think that's something to be very proud of. Thank you all.
Any questions? Okay. Continue on.
All right. Planning and development services. And I'll be, for everybody's sake, real short and sweet, because there's really no abilities in planning and development to really change the numbers. And so what you're going to see, are we completely fully staffed? No, we're not. But we're pretty lean. And good times or bad times, I think you need to be lean like we are. And of course, we're in a cycle now with war, inflation, interest rates. It's time to be that way. So I say all that to say this. I think the only thing you're going to see it changes in development is in the fees we've taken in, the revenue. Now, $100,000 is a lot of money. I ain't going to disagree. But the times we're in, we're down $100,000 in permit fees. Inspections are still crazy because when you get in this cycle of a little bit of a downturn, people go from building new to remodels. But that's good. They got to get a permit. There'll always be environmental septic repairs. All right. Now, between now and 30 June, we're going to shorten that 100,000. I don't know by how much, but given the state of the economy and the world, I'm pretty pleased. That's a real brief, down and dirty synopsis of development, but that's what I think you need to know. Holding status quo, pretty close on revenue, and lean enough to endure whatever may happen. Hopefully it's not a 08, 09, but we can handle that as well, I guess.
Are you ready for some questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? I do have some. Let me, and this is probably, and I don't know if you got this in front of you. So we had 625 new dwellings in 2025. Where were we in 2024, 2023? How, is it going up or is it going,
It was down just a little bit,
okay,
10%
okay,
on the dwelling units.
all right. And then the resounding theme I keep hearing from everybody that's running for office, no offense to y'all that are running for office, but is we've got to stop growth. We've got to stop development. Tell me exactly, that sounds really good in a mail out, and it sounds really good in a soundbite. Tell me exactly, how do you stop, when you have people wanting to come here that are willing to pick up their families and come here, and they want to be here so bad that they're willing to spend whatever it costs to get here. Tell me exactly how because I'm waiting to see it after this election. I'm wanting to see this tremendous epiphany where everybody stopped all this development and stopped anybody from. How can you stop it? Is this just a pipe dream that everybody has? Because they talk to me about,
Absolutely.
we're going to charge them a certain tax. Well, that's unconstitutional. There's just. Yeah. Do you see any way, Jeff, you or Thomas, do you all see, how do you stop development? How do you stop people from moving here?
You know, it's a great talking point, Mayor. But if you do what we do all day, every day, you can't put a fence around this place and say you're not allowed. Now, you know, I've heard comments, rubber stamping plats and developments and so on and so forth. If you saw how many we turned down, it'd make your head spin. Pay Farm, I probably turned down 5. You don't have any infrastructure. Now, to your point, they're coming here because this county is very well managed, and your cost of living is very low compared to some of these places you live in. Now, here's the problem. To your point, that you're exactly right. If they come to us and they check all the boxes, I don't have a choice but to present it and approve it. And guess what? Those waters were tested over the last year. They checked the boxes. They were denied. It's based off of what? It's arbitrary and capricious. The next morning, judge says, approved. Blount County, you've lost money. And that's what we try to tell these people. We don't make the rules. We're here to enforce them. And if the commission and planning want to change the rules, we'll enforce that. But to your point, you know, we even go as far as traffic studies and different things, but the right-of-way is different across the county. It could be nothing in East Millers, or it could be 15 or 20 feet. So we have to fight that. But sight distance, inadequate infrastructure. But at this point, if they're good and they check the boxes, we're stuck. Now, again, do you make that a little tougher? You know, do you look at, I probably shouldn't throw this out, but I think it's a good idea. We have problems daily with private roads of who does what or who doesn't do what. Or somebody back in the day on a private road took in 100 feet, that's counties, and the rest of it was private. Well, how do our men know in the middle of a snowstorm? So, you know, do we need to explore some things of no more private roads? That might take some people that says, hey, that's cheap, just cut it in and gravel it, versus paving it to a county spec. You know, there's thoughts and ideas of what we can do, but you're exactly right, Mayor. We can talk, and I'll be glad to talk to anybody. But, you know, there's a move afoot. Let's make the lots bigger in coastal town, right? Well, that's Planning 101. What's it create? Urban sprawl. Well, we don't want urban sprawl. we can't have your cake and eat it too. We gotta, it's just tough, but you know, it's like back in the day, Alabama football. If you're a kid, you're good. Who you want to play for? The best. You know, we've done a hell of a job here. You all, everybody's done a hell of a job, but pipe dream. I think you phrased it about right. At this point.
Yeah, it's going to be a real awakening to some because, and going back to the lot sizes and, you know, and I know the commission, and I'm not going to get into that, but, you know, Williamson County went to 5-acre lots, and they're still one of the largest, fastest growing counties at 5-acre lots per residential. You know, what we're seeing, and I'm watching it, and I'm trending it, and I've talked with a lot of the mayors from Middle Tennessee and some in the Georgia area that have seen this tremendous growth, even more so than a higher percentage than us.
Yeah.
We're ripe for the picking, though. We haven't. I don't know that we've seen the growth, that the potential is there, because things are not changing in Illinois and New York and California. And
they're getting worse.
They're getting worse, and when you can move from the suburbs of Chicago, retire and move here and add 50% to your retirement, you know, that's the average. You're averaging 50%. You're averaging to your retirement by moving here, just in savings on taxes, cost of living, things like that.
And you probably sold your house, and you come here, and what you sold it for, you probably don't have a mortgage.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, I just wanted this, and you all, you're the ones that know, and I've been hearing this, and I've tried to explain this, that we're going to stop the growth. We're shutting the doors, and I'm like, you're going to be very disappointed after this election, because there is no gate. Co-op doesn't sell a gate, and they don't. There's no door to shut. But anyway, thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Ed.
Go ahead.
I didn't have my ducks in a row quite yet a minute ago. I need a couple more dots connected for me, please, Jeff, with the $110,000. It looks like it's going to be applied to engineering services for the request that you have for the 110. Is that where it is in the line item?
What is that, Karen?
You have a request for $110,000 additional request.
That's set aside if it goes through. Stormwater.
Yes.
monitoring.
So is that engineering services, Karen?
Yes, we run that through engineering services.
Okay.
And we have to get a third-party company to do stormwater monitoring. To
Okay.
meet the state regs. So
That connects my dot, because
that's anticipation of the resolution they're saying.
We-
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
Yeah.
This has been something we've seen every 5 years come
Yeah.
out of development for.
But all that stormwater stuff is still out there.
got it. That connects my dots. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? Does anyone else have any questions, comments? I do want to say, the roads, I mean, I know that there's still bad roads, but the roads look better in this county, I promise you, than they've ever looked in my lifetime, and I'm long in the tooth. But y'all have done a great job on paving roads. Roads look good. When you finish, they look very, very professional. I mean, they're a professional paved road. And that, like you say, I mean, and you've said it, we've made it so nice. You can come here and actually live way out in the country and drive a road that's got the lines on it, and it's well paved, and so I mean, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't on some of this. We work so hard, and you all work so hard on what I think is the infrastructure to make it look good, so that when these people come in here, if there was any question in their mind, the question's gone, because they come here and, wow, my gosh, I can drive right here to halfway up this mountain and build me a beautiful $2 million cabin and on a paved striped road, you know. And I don't know what the answer is to that, but that's what we've built. We built it for the people that live here, the people of Blount County, and it's sort of like the no more growth. I don't know what the answer is to that, but you've got to continue to do what y'all do because you do a great job on our infrastructure, on our roads, but there again, all that does is make it more attractive for people to want to move here.
Yeah.
Where do you quit juggling this? Where does the balls drop on this?
Well, look at the job you all have done of pressing broadband into rural areas. Now, it wasn't to bring people here. I don't think that was your intent. It's to educate kids in rural areas, and that's why y'all push it hard. But oh boy, hey, let's go buy this stuff. It's got broadband, right? But you were trying to do what was right. But is that enticing, to your point? Absolutely. One of the first questions I get. So, yeah, it's tough.
I know. Well, thank you all very much. No other questions? Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the job.
Thanks for the kind words.
Okay, we've got a break. Looks like about a 20 or a 15-minute break here. Is that about right? See you, Johnny. Johnny, we'll see you. Johnny, we'll see you. Good seeing you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, there's.
Okay, at this time, we'll reconvene the Budget Committee. Next up is the Blount County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, committee. Thank you for the process and allowing us to be here. I'm Jeff French, the Chief Deputy with the Blount County Sheriff's Office. We've got slides that kind of go through the structure and our mission statement and what we do. Been here before, so I'm not going to read it to you. Obviously, you know a lot about the Sheriff's Office. One of the things I do want to talk about from my standpoint is the accomplishments for the 26 budget year. We had 2 Citizens Academy, 2 training academies, training deputies and police officers from across the state of Tennessee. In March, we received our 8th award for our CLIA accreditation, which is a great feat in our opinion, and it shows the standard that the Sheriff's Office has set, that we believe in national standards, international standards that we abide to provide law enforcement in our community. We also received our state accreditation from the Chiefs of Police in February, and we received in January our Federal Bureau of Prisons certification for the jail and the Marshal certification for the jail in January as well. We are currently working with the Marshals to redo our contract on our per diem. As you know, since costs have gone up, inflation and things, we're trying to renegotiate that contract to get a better rate for the county, and that's in process as we speak. Hopefully we should hear something by May on that new per diem rate. We got our PREA certification in February and our DCS certification for our juvenile center as well. Some of the changes and updates to the budget. We first of all want to thank this committee for the real-time operations center, the position you all provided us last year, and the director. I know some of you all have been there and seen the operations center. If you haven't, please contact us. We'd love for you to come and see what we're doing in the county as far as that aspect goes. We are asking for a position, and that is for an analyst position that would be there hopefully 8 to 10 hours a day, depending on the schedule that we put forth and depend on the times of the needs there. That is one of the changes or asks that we are requesting. We are also just wanting to make you all aware that we, as you know, Deputy Mallory, we had a line of duty death, and we're going back in May to Washington to put his name on the wall. So there may be some expenses there that we may be asking for in the future, but just wanted to make you aware of that. And just as we have in the past, any of the additional requests that each function in the Sheriff's Office is going to be asking for, each of those chiefs would come up and present those to you. As I said, under the additional requests, we're asking for 1 analyst to handle the volume of additional requests and things that are coming in from the agencies as far as getting the data and videos or things that we need to help prosecute and keep our community safe. It's been a great tool, a real-time tool for real-time crime, and it's been very effective, and we thank you all for your support in that. The cost would be $86,766. The cost is will be split up between Blount County, Alcoa, and the 911 center. And just to close my part, I just want to say thank you to this committee for voting for the actuary study for the supplemental retirement that y'all did last month. And just want to say thank you for that and your support and our deputies and salaries and benefits and things that you all have done for the sheriff's office. It's been a great help as far as recruiting, retention, and it's because of what you all have done here at this committee, and we really appreciate your support of the sheriff's office. At this time, I want to call up Sheriff Barong, and he's got some things that he wants to talk about, so thank you all very much.
Good morning. I wasn't prepared because I thought Jeff Hedrick would still be here when I walked in. You can tell him I said that. I want to thank you all personally, too. This is my 37th budget presentation, and what you all have done the last few years, 8 or 10 years in support of the Sheriff's Office has made a huge difference with our growth, with the population, the societal changes. We're able to respond to that, and we still have issues, but we're safer than most, and all you have to do is look around the region or the state, and that is because of y'all gave us the tools to retain and attract and retain employees, and before I say anything else, I want to say that to you all. The Real-Time Operations Center Chief had talked about, that's a time saver, a game changer. About a little over a year ago, we had a triple homicide out in off Lost Chapel Road, and we were able to track that subject all the way through town, all the way into Walmart, all the way, look at his bloody shoes and bloody pants when he tried to buy a replacement. Couldn't imagine what investigative amount of time if we didn't have this type of technology it would have taken to locate or find him. So things like that really pay backwards in a sense. There's cost savings plus a safety measure. The AEDs, that's replacing those. Again, I can't say enough about the EMR program that we have in this community, thanks to the mayors. We talked about it years ago, and that's the biggest thing I get compliments on, whether we save a life or attempt to save a life, or whether it be a wreck and on the scene. That is a huge game changer. And Cumberland County and Fairfield Glades, they came up about for the last 2.5 years, and they mimicked us. They're the first people online to copy what we have done. A lot of others want to, but they just don't have the support from the commission level and stuff to do that. So what a great program. The K9s, obviously we've had to replace a couple of K9s, and they're doing one for the drone system. We're able to use that again without manpower in the woods or things, or without a safety issue. We're there. Backup battery in jail, you provided that. Jail locks funding for a D-pod section completed, and the bridge for corrections, again, that is a tremendous benefit and asset to have those guys and girls down there have equal pay and equal benefits. Its retention is really good because of that. We're continuing in 2027 goals, continue their jail lockup replacement system, continue to grow our inmate program assistance with reentry, and Mark Ellis is helping with that. And it's always a great program to try to attempt at least to get people on the right track and lower recidivism. Continue to find savings related inmate medical. Turnkey is doing very well. They monitor the cost of the medical issues. They challenge if it's out of hand. We have been, as most of you probably know, taking people to UT. We can't get a competitive price at Blount, so it's kind of sad. We pull out of our and look at what more we turn left, or Prisma, whatever, and turn left and go to UT for cost savings for taxpayers. Enhanced officer training, officer safety, the training center updates, training virtual academy. We used to have a lot of things, but these technology and that is improving. You put I guess your kids, our grandkids have the visual VR, so you can put it on and it gives you a real-time scenarios. Like you're walking in a house. So that's really a cutting-edge technology on that we're putting into place. Provide citizens a safe place, work, and live and play. And that's our ultimate goal, is working for the citizens to continue that. Safety in our schools, continue the SRO grant, which is a great blessing that the governor gave to us a couple of years ago. And we're trying to add a school guard at Eagleton Career Academy out there, and hopefully we can accomplish that. That's the only major school that doesn't have the two. William Blount and Heritage has the gate guards, and that's the first perimeter line of defense or resistance. Again, I can't say enough about what you all have done for the Sheriff's Office, and I'm not bragging on myself, I'm bragging on my employees. We are the envy of the state. You know, I go to the Sheriff's Association, most of them have our policies, our procedures, mock or pattern their activity or their policy and procedures after us. And again, that has nothing to do with me. That's the men and women behind me and the girls and guys that work for each and every one department. So I'd like to thank them. And thank you all for the tools. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for the sheriff? Ms. Hannum?
I have a couple,
Okay.
Sheriff. And thank you so much for the additional input that you continue to put in each year. It helps us tremendously.
Thank you.
And I'm really appreciative of your update to your capital plan. So that's helpful to us. One of my questions is the supplemental request for the outside building at the garage, three-sided. Is it attached anywhere? We've been having winds that seem like almost tornadoes. Did you get any kind of engineering help, or do you?
I don't really, I'll have to,
Jared, are we going to
They
be
will let
able
me
to
look
keep
this
it
up.
from blowing away?
Yes, ma'am. So basically that, if you're familiar with the jail and the pods in the back, so it'd be detached from the pods, so it'd be along the road side, so the inside would be facing the pods. So you'd have kind of a breezeway in the middle, and the dry area would be along that. So it would not be attached to the building, it'd be separate.
So my question is, does it need to be attached to something so that it doesn't blow over to the hospital?
It would be anchored, it would be concrete and anchored, by whatever the code is.
Okay.
To do that.
City of Maryville's going to oversight, their codes will have oversight on that, won't they?
Correct,
Jared?
yes.
So they're going to make you anchor that thing for, 120-mile-an-hour winds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And your locks, they're going in well. And so to implement the next phase,
Yes.
where will that put us in the plan? That'll put us.
We've been started this program a few years ago due to
Right.
obvious issues with that.
Looks like you're done with all of D-Pod to me.
Huh, 4 more to go? Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We're getting closer, but thank you for the support on that, but it's so hard to have a jail without locks.
I see them working on them, and, they're pretty fantabulous, and that's somebody who doesn't care a whole lot about locks. So these are pretty awesome to see. And the last question I have has to do about your additional request for personnel. Your adult personnel, that person will, it says, help support other other investigations. How you need this person to do exactly what?
Chief? Do what?
We're actually.
You gonna come to that later?
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay, sounds good.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, yeah.
I'd like for him to
Thank
give a
you.
full description on his, to make sure it's accurate. Any other
Any
questions?
other questions? Thank you.
Thank you all so
Jared.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Next up, Ron.
I guess I could have went ahead and come up, couldn't I?
Well,
Thank y'all for having me. Obviously, I'm here to present a big ask. It's 2 new positions. Obviously, I'll cover each one of them individually. The child abuse investigator, the first one you see on your paperwork, is to provide support to other investigators, reducing caseload, response time, burnout. This is just as the other 2 positions that we've had, that we've talked about for 5 years now. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. In 2021, if my memory's right, I'm getting old, but if my memory's right, in 2021, the commission allowed us to put 1 full-time child abuse investigator at the CAC to allow for better communication, full-time child abuse investigations with DCS and the CAC. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize about child abuse investigations is they continue after the investigation is over. So if a child has been traumatized, then the other half of what the CAC does, other than medical and stuff on the front end, is they provide long-term therapy after the fact. So as the continuation of that therapy or investigation, I guess, is all under one roof, and that's what makes the CAC great. But to get back to my point, in 2021, we assigned our first full-time child abuse investigator there. And then later, as the cases increased, because they were nearing about 200 a year, and as the cases increased, we come back before the commission and asked for an additional child abuse investigator, which would have gave us 2 at the CAC. And those numbers have just drastically increased. We felt like when we asked for that second one that position would accommodate our needs for several years to come as long as they didn't exceed 300. And I'm going to go over the numbers real fast, and they're probably, I don't think they're in your packet, but if you want to write them down, you can. If you want me to leave you with a copy of them, I can. But DCS referrals in 2021 prompted Investigator Former to be assigned full-time to the CAC. From 2021 to 2022, those numbers jumped. Instead of over 300, they jumped to 441 DCS referrals. In 2023, those numbers grew to 498. In 2024, those numbers grew to 519, and last year they grew to 548. So that's 548 referrals or investigations, however you want to call it, that 2 investigators are working. Because of those numbers growing so fast and unpredicted, along the way, we've started distributing those child abuse investigations out to other general investigators who are completely capable, but they're not working out of the CAC, so it takes them longer to communicate firsthand or have a direct line of communication with other forensic interviewers, the medical staff, and DCS workers. So one of these investigators would be full-time, assigned to the CAC under that roof, and that would give us a total of 3 down there. And it's all about numbers, right? It's specifically about that. I'll touch a little bit on this in our other investigator that we're asking for, but a lot of the cases that our investigators are working now, it's not like Johnny Bob broke into this house or we're asking an informant to give us a lead on a theft or recover stolen property. Now it's scams, extortions, frauds, and child abuse investigations. One of our child abuse investigators worked a case over this last fiscal year, and he wrote nearly 40 search warrants and subpoenas in one case. And it's just so time consuming because there's so many different media platforms and banks and that type of thing that you have to take time to do just to work an investigation now. The other investigator that we're asking for, which is the second position, would provide support to investigators reducing caseload, obviously, response time, burnout, and also this investigator would add to referrals from Adult Protective Services. So APS referrals, and going back to numbers again, right? So in 2022, which was about the time that we created the full-time child abuse investigators, our APS referrals were 145 in 2022. 2023, they went to 153. 2024, they went to 223. And in 2025, they went to 226. And what I want to say about this is not only have our cases grown, but these 2 particular areas have what's grown the most. And I remember Commissioner Stinnett, when we were talking about a child investigator one year, I wasn't even asking for an Adult Protective Services investigator. He brought to my attention that the commission should consider even giving us an Adult Protective Services investigator that year, just because he recognized the increase. And I wanted to tell you today, historically, I've never asked this body for anything that I needed, that I wanted. It was always positions that I actually had to have. It was necessary. And these 2 positions are necessary. And to the tune of 4, maybe even 5 years ago, again, I can't remember the year that Commissioner Stinnett brought up that we should have asked for an Adult Protective Investigator then, and here it is 2026, and I'm just now doing it because we've absorbed that over the years. Our supervisors have even been working the APS referrals to try to offset the caseload on the investigators. And I'm open for questions. I've got our statistics. If you would like me to leave a copy with them, then y'all could distribute them among yourselves. I'm certainly willing to do that.
You have any questions?
I got one
Go
real
ahead.
quick one. This is just a point of clarification for me. I might have missed it, but I'm assuming that Adult Protective Services is elder abuse, or that's a part of it?
Is what, I'm sorry?
Elder abuse?
Yes, it is. It's so say they work with Adult Protective Services. There's so many acronyms used in investigations. Honestly, I can't keep up with all of them. CREVA, you'll see that one. That's a collaborative response to elder and vulnerable abuse. And then those cases, they go beyond the initial abuse too, right? So they go after the case is worked, they go to help provide services and then to check, and then just like the seniors outreach program, you know, they would be put on a list if family needed them to be, and then our seniors outreach would go in behind and continue to do checks after that. So the general investigator, and I should have pointed this out earlier, that's going to be a general investigator. They will still be to help reduce the caseload. Obviously, they would also work other cases, just like the rest of our investigators, but they would be given the vast majority of the APS referrals.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead,
Talk
go
all the
ahead.
time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ron, I'm just looking at these numbers here. I mean, that's the DCS referrals jumping so high in just a few short years. I know that's probably alarming to everybody. Is there any, I know it's not really a budget question, but is there any kind of, did DCS change their methodology in making the referrals? Did something else change, or are we just seeing more cases?
So I think it's a multitude of things. I think that's a very good question. It's not one that I can specifically say it's this. I think COVID contributed to a lot of it. I think that while kids were at home, I think that you know, some things went unseen, and the numbers were probably lower than what we thought that they would be. And then when the kids and the floodgates opened and everybody started, you know, returning to the schools, and we've got a fantastic SRO program, and that's where a lot of our referrals will come from, because our SROs identify those issues early on, which is a great thing. Sometimes when you do a really good job and you've got people in specific areas like the schools, you're able to identify that. So maybe it's because of COVID, maybe it's because we do a really good job in our SRO program. Maybe it's because we've got a really good relationship with the CAC, and our county does a good job on protecting our kids and providing services on the front end and after the fact through therapy. And then maybe it's got a lot to do with growth. I mean, that's it could be a combination of all.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon?
And that actually touched on what my question was going to be. Did schools and family resource centers, the SROs, all tie in and have anything to do with the increase in numbers? Or if that wasn't the case, could it be the case? But
Yes, so another great question. I can't specifically say what it is. Those are estimated guesses, I guess. But I think that it does have a lot to do with it. It's you know, kind of like our drug task force. We've got a very active drug task force in our county. It's been given a lot of support. We put a lot into it. That is all proactive enforcement, or at least 95% of it is. And but it's because we do a really good job, right? Those numbers are good, and we've got fewer drugs, fewer overdoses, fewer overdose deaths than we did 3 years ago in Blount County, because we do such a good job. And I think we do a lot of good jobs through communication and supporting our community that I think that those numbers go up, because a lot of people, maybe in some jurisdictions, and again, this is just a guess, maybe they're afraid to call or won't think that they'll have the therapy or the attention that the case needs, or prosecution. But again, I think overall we do a really good job in Blount County, and I think people call when they need us, and when they don't call, I think we've got a good SRO program that identifies a lot of it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good morning. Thank you all very much. I'm Jared Millsaps, the Administrative Deputy Chief for the Sheriff's Office. So I wanted to touch on a few things. Again, Chief French mentioned how we come to where we're at today. So this is step 3 or 4 for us, that we've already submitted our budgets internally from all the different functions. We come around the table. We have these very same meetings that we're having here, but within our area of responsibility, and then we kind of prioritize some of the things that we feel that is a need, as Chief mentioned, and not just a want or a request. So a few things I wanted to mention was we were blessed from this committee to give us the Fleetio fleet management software that we've put before the county. Well, there's parts of that system that we could utilize, such as the Key Cafe, which is basically kind of a vending machine for keys, but it would keep track of all of our fleet and all of our who's checking things out, who has them, and where keys may be, and it would integrate with that fleet management software. So that was one of the items that we wanted to bring up. The lift system in the garage is another. So we have if you've been into a body shop or workshop, the traditional lift that kind of looks like an H frame system that has a crossbar across the top. So that's what we have in our garage currently. With cars that we have today, with SUVs, trucks, and such, it doesn't get it as high enough for folks to get under it and manage it and work on, oil changes, standard maintenance, and such like that. And it's almost reached the end of life. We're already replacing parts, putting money into it to try to keep it working. So the new lift that should be included in your packet is kind of like a mobile type deal where you place the jacks under it, it gets it to where it needs to be and don't have that ceiling to be able to hit. So that is why it's a little more expensive than your traditional stationary lifts. The building that we touched on already, which would be located behind the pod system, having the vehicles and stuff we've had, as you know, we're out of room in a lot of places, especially at the Justice Center for storage and equipment, and we're just looking for places to keep fleet and keep trailers and keep just equipment out of the weather a little bit instead of just being outside. So we thought the reasonable expense would be kind of the lean-to style building that we brought before you, instead of trying to build a four-sided warehouse style deal. And then you can see the capital request, what was on the resolution. You can see the items on the right that we have either purchased and request to remove, or items that have increased as well. We've been very blessed by you guys for the motorcycle replacements and the canines and different things that you have allowed us to do. But that gives you the update of what we're asking for and kind of what we've done, and up to you guys to decide what would be a best fit. A couple of priorities that we really have. This was brought before you guys last year, and now we're getting to about year 5 of our current firearms, which is the Glock 45. We have Smith & Wesson in our community. We want to partner with Smith & Wesson. We want to be an advocate for them and carry the weapon that is built here in Maryville, Tennessee. So we're asking again to do that conversion this year, if at all possible. You've probably noticed that it did have an increase from last year till this year's cost, and the reason why is we're looking to trade some of our patrol rifles that we purchased back in 2017 after the Kitty Moat shooting in 2016. Was the reason why we got those rifles in the first place. They're already reaching end of life, 10 years life on those. So that's reason the increase to the $300,000 for that switch. And you ask yourself, well, isn't the part of the deal is they're going to give us a gun for gun trade? Well, yes, that's actually the case in most of the weapons we're going to have. So where does the additional cost come from? Well, the additional cost come from is mainly the accessories that go along with that weapon, such as a pistol. We're going to add the red dot optic onto each pistol. Well, that's an additional expense. They're about $500 and something a piece, and when you buy 360, 370 of those, that adds up very quickly. You also have the holster cost. An average holster, we have to carry a level 2 holster. that will withstand the gun belts and the rigidness that it's going to have to be on a uniformed officer, and those are about $200 each. And then now we're getting into ammo. Well, we can't just hand an officer a new firearm and say, here you go out and shoot it and do what you can with it. Well, there has to be some sort of training and transition that goes along with that. We're recommending that each officer is going to put about 250 to 300 rounds through that weapon when they first get it issued, because it is a new sight system and, of course, a new platform, as we've been used to the Glocks for the last 20-something years. So that's going to be a difference. Well, ammunition's not cheap as well, so that's part of that $300,000 is the additional ammo that we will need to make that transition. So when you put all that together and what we're going to get for that amount of money is a big impact and a big savings that I think to our taxpayers, and be able to carry a weapon, again, made here in Maryville, Tennessee, and partner with those folks. So that is a top priority of ours when you're looking at the capital list this year. If we were able to vote on it and got it approved in July, it's going to take 3 or 4 months for them to manufacture them, to get the equipment in. So we're looking at probably Christmas time or so to be able to put those in officers' hands. So the sooner the better to get that going, if it's something that this body would like to proceed, but we're asking for it for sure. The jail locks, the sheriff touched on. Thank you, Sharon, for your comments. You've seen those. You see how well they work. Instead of doing them all at once, we've tried to work that in to where we're doing so many a year, and I think that has worked well. The simulation training facility, so basically the simulators, just like the sheriff mentioned, it's basically the goggles that you wear now and you interface with the other officers. The one we have at our facility now is the old, basically a screen, one-dimensional screen with old videos. Today's policing world, we're doing a lot of de-escalation and doing a lot of decision-making, and these officers are having to decide between life and death in a fraction of a second. So we're just trying to stay up to date with what's out there and what our officers can do and train with, and we feel that this particular virtual simulation would be good for our officers in our community, as again we train through our in-service training, us, Maryville, Alcoa, Airport Authority, Townsend as well. So it would benefit the whole community and not just the sheriff's office. And the auto link piece is basically a part of that that's in the capital request, but that is the software and devices that we would use in tactical situations or tracking situations with our B-sort team, to where if we're in a vast area and part of our community, that we're gonna be able to see where that officer is at all times and keep track and keep communications and stuff open with them. So thank you guys. Also a shout out to Angelie as well for everything that she does prepare for this moment for us, and what she does throughout the year to help us out and keep us on track as well. And thank you, Commissioner Anderson, for your resolution last month for the retirement package. That would be a huge benefit for our guys, and we hope that this body will go along with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions before Jared sits down? Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sheriff, thank you all.